Hi everyone, it's Shari Carroll for SimonsSaysStamp.com, and I have some card inspiration for you today using some products from Pretty Pink Posh. The stamp set I'm using is new from their July release, and this is called Fly Kite. It has really cute kites, kite strings, clouds, a sun, and also a couple messages. I'll also be using the Fly a Kite coordinating dies, and I'll be cutting out my clouds and kites, and I'm making a shaker card. The ink I'm using to stamp my images is the Simon Says Stamp black ink, and I'll be using Nina 80-pound white cardstock. I'm using my Misty to stamp my images onto my cardstock, and I've picked out several of the kites. I'm not sure which one I'll be using yet, so I'm just going to stamp a whole bunch of them and I can decide later. So just shutting the door and pressing down onto that cardstock with the inked images, and I get a really nice crisp stamped impression. I have cut apart my dies and now I'm putting them onto my stamped images with a little bit of tape. You can use washi tape or like a post-it type paper. I've run that through my die cut machine and created a window, and I've also cut a piece of vellum, and I'll be placing this under the card, so I've cut a little bit of that second cloud out from that corner. So I can add this to my card. I'll just be tacking it down with my two-way glue pen. For the backing and the shaker part, this is the cloud that's cut out. I have a piece of acetate that I've cut out to go just around the outside of this cloud, so make sure that you have enough room to put your adhesive down. So I'm just using my tape runner and just making sure I have adhesive all the way around that cloud. Once I have the adhesive run down, I can put my acetate right over that cloud, and this is the back side of the card. So I can just press this right down in place, and that will sit as the window. So it's really nice and clear, you can barely see it. Before I start building my shaker card, I want to stamp my message, and I've decided where everything's going to go on my card, so I'll stamp the message now. And I've just used my regular black ink and the Misty, and I have perfect placement. I've decided to use the Prima watercolors, and this is the tropical mix. These are really nice palettes. They have 12 colors in each of the palettes, and I'll be just painting my sun and kite and the kite string. So I'm just adding a little bit of water to the paint to get it wet. I also have a towel and a scrap piece of paper that I can kind of test my paints out with. So I'm adding yellow to the inside of the sun and following that up with a little bit of orange on the sun rays that are on the outside. Then I can go back over with a little bit of water and kind of blend everything in. For the kite, I'll be doing the stripes, and the first color I'll do is a nice teal, and I'll just choose one of the inside stripes. When I'm painting these, I am not going to paint the next color down, I'll go in between. So I'll do the orange next, leaving that white space in between, that way my paints won't run together. So this is really quick and easy to get some color onto your projects, and I'm using a number 4 size paintbrush, which is a great size for all of the items that I'm painting. Next I'm going in next to that blue. It's had some time to dry, and I'm adding in some pink. I'll follow this up by coloring the stripe below the blue with a nice bright yellow. I am creating an accent paper that's going to sit beside my front panel, and I thought it would be best just to paint my own stripes using the same colors that I've used on the card. This is really simple. I have cut my paper a little bit wider than what I need it so I can trim it down, and it'll just be tucked under the edge. I've also painted a smaller piece to sit behind the window of my cloud so that my cloud will have some color behind it. I have all my pieces ready to go, and I'll be starting my construction. So I'm using my foam tape here, cutting it in half so that I have some skinny strips, and I can place these right around my cloud, just following that acetate. I'll be using 2 layers, so I first want to just add a layer that will completely surround my window area. So laying these down, I want to make sure that they're all really close together so none of the sequins can sneak out. And at this point I have set down my double layer. So it's just 2 stacked on top of each other. And the next thing I want to show you really quick is a trick that if I have excess tape, I just kind of stick it on the top of my roll, and then if I need small pieces later I can grab those. I'll be using my powder tool, and this helps the sequins not to stick to the side of that adhesive. And if you've noticed, I've not pulled the backing off yet. You don't want to do that when you have that powder out, otherwise it won't stick. I'm using the Pretty Pink Posh Sunny Days Sequin Mix and just spreading those into the window. Once I have my sequins in place, I can remove the backing of my foam tape. And this is the easiest way I have found to create a shaker card. All I need to do is place my paper that I have hand painted right on top and let that seal in those sequins. Once I press that down, I'll flip this over and I'll show you how they look. So a double layer of the foam tape allows those sequins to move around freely. Next, I'll be adding some glue runner tape to that right edge of my panel, and this is to stick down my hand colored piece just right under that edge. And finally, I'll be adding some foam tape to the back of this panel, and again I'll be using a double layer so that everything will sit flat. So once I have that all in place, I can add a little bit of my tape runner to the back of that window, and I can start removing the adhesive backing. I like to remove just a little bit of the backing so that I can tack my piece down, and once I have it in place I can reach underneath and remove the rest of the backing. To finish my card off, I'm adding my kite and kite string, and I have added a little bit of the foam tape to the back of those so those have additional dimension. The kite string is lifted up where it sits under the kite, and for the tail I'll just be adding some of my glue pen just to the tip of that string. Here's a look at my finished card. I love the colors from the Prima Tropical watercolor paints, and then all the little elements of the Pretty Pink Posh stamps and dies. I hope you've enjoyed my inspiration for some of the new product release for July from Pretty Pink Posh, and as always, thanks so much for watching.